all I ever wanted to do was become a chef. And I had a very enjoyable time training, and I travelled quite a bit. When I was about 21, I was in Australia, and I found out there that I had a real deep longing just to go to Mass on a Sunday. Then I came back home and got back into the chefing world again. And then gradually I felt a sort of an unease about there was something more, some other part of my life that hadn't opened yet. I sort of woke up one day, it was quite, this particular part of the story was quite sudden. I said, God, I wonder is it priesthood?
How was the child?
For myself, it's some sort of journey of discovery. You know what I mean? There's some sort of an attraction maybe to the life of priesthood, to the life of service or ministry. I think with a lot of people, maybe guys might get a glancing thought about priesthood and maybe put it aside and never think about it again, and that's fair enough. But for some, that thought never goes away. And I think that might be a sign of something happening deep within the person's heart or their soul.
You get a sort of a rush of enthusiasm at the beginning when you feel called by Jesus to the seminary. The whole excitement takes over and you think, God, this is fantastic. And that continues when you come in, naturally enough. And as the time moves on, what that call may be for you becomes clear. And what generally happens is you kind of come to the conclusion that yes, he's calling me to priesthood. Or else that, yes, he's calling me to something different.
Now, it's very simple and all the rest. It's also to do with that, please God, on your wedding day, when we have the marriage complete, we'll sign the civil registration. I went into the seminary when I was 18, and some people say to me, God, that was very young, Paul. Like, sure, what did you know at 18? And looking back, I knew nothing. And yet, I didn't enter the priesthood at 18. I entered formation, and then I went through 8 years of training for priesthood. I say it was scary enough starting out, you know, arriving in a parish, a new situation. And I always remember the first evening I arrived into the parish. I'd never lived on my own before. And I remember the furniture removal people moving away and closing the door behind me, and there wasn't a sound in the house.
God Send Sunday with Fr Paul Dempsey and Mary Connolly on the Sound of Kildare KFM.
Good morning and welcome to KFM. It's Fr Paul Dempsey here, and I'm delighted to have your company today, and I hope we find you well. As usual, we have a busy show lined up for you.
It's very hard to say, you know, that there's a day-to-day kind of routine in a priest's life. And that's part of the, I suppose, the exciting nature of it, because it's not kind of a humdrum sort of 9-to-5 job that a lot of people work in.
Yeah, how are things?
Great to see you again.
Where did you get the farms from?
Oh, secret spot. Very, very private. That is.
In relation to my own way of life, like I work in parish, I'm also involved here in radio, and also involved in the youth ministry and responding to the youth needs of our diocese. Very few ways of life that would have the variety that my way of life has, and that, I suppose, is one of the big attractions that I've had to priesthood.